Hi, I'm Julie Labrum. I teach 7th and 8th grade at the STEM Academy in Chester Upland School District. I'm here to discuss the use of RTI in our school. I wanted to give a little bit of background. Last year we used a reading program which was very labor intensive, and I feel it was unsuccessful for several reasons. The teacher was required to level each student, which was time consuming and which was done during the regular lesson time. Each student was then color coded, and they were told that, say, you read on this level, so your books are orange. We'll have an orange sticker. This was pretty unsuccessful, I think, for several reasons. The upperclassmen refused to participate. They felt that it was sort of for babies, and in addition, a lot of people were embarrassed about their reading levels. And really our goal is to get kids to read more, but they wouldn't read more because they were embarrassed to be reading a book that was way beneath their level, and other students would make fun of those students. So you can see where that might be a problem. The students were to read 4 steps a day, which is each step was 15 minutes. So we did 2 in school and 2 at home. What I found was that the students weren't reading. They were hiding their cell phones in their books. They were gazing off into the distance, talking. At home, I don't know if they were reading or not. And they would lose their logs because they had to log it, so they would lose their logs. And I would see them furiously writing in their logs when I was coming around to check. And almost 100% of the time, they forged their parents' signatures. So I really am unclear on how many of them were actually participating in that task. Progress monitoring was impossible. It really didn't have a lot of meaning because every single day I had to input information for 75 students, which is really time consuming. In addition, the information that I was inputting into the system was flawed because students were forging it or just making it up. So the reports that we got, which were lovely, really didn't have a lot of meaning for me because I don't think they were measuring anything that was valid. Just as a quick aside, in a separate school where I worked previously, we used an online reading program called Reading Plus. I felt much more comfortable about that, and I feel that we saw great increases in our students' reading levels. It was delivered completely online. It involved clothes, flashing numbers and letters at students at different rates, speeding up the reading level as their comprehension increased. And so it was all done internally, sort of like with the computer and the student. So I could very easily tell if a student had been participating at the rate that we asked them to, which was 45 minutes a day. I could see their reading levels going up, and we had awards that went for each student. So I feel like that was pretty valuable. That's not exactly something that you can do on a practical level in my classroom at this time. We're sort of between reading specialists at this point. So, but we do have an active special ed department, and they have their resource rooms. I personally have a co-teacher who is a special ed teacher who comes into classes where there are special ed students and helps the student during class, but also we work together to adapt lessons and resources for those students. We have in our school intervention classes which address those basic skills. We use tiered lessons, differentiated instruction, small group instruction to address specific needs of specific students. We administer benchmarks every 6 weeks. Questions are drawn from our Common Core based units, and what we will do is drive our instruction by using that data, and so we can address, say, the 5 lowest performing standards, see an increase. Now, literacy is always our lowest performing standard. Other things that I use in my classroom is I'm able to use articles on the same topic but at different reading levels. We close read very often, stopping very often to summarize. Also, with students who are truly struggling, I find it a good idea to tackle the text, which is where they chunk the text, they number the text, they mark it, and they write in the margins. This way, I can tell if they're actually reading the article, which is really important for us because we need to build stamina for reading for the PSSAs. So I know that students can read the questions and go back and forth to try to hunt for the answers, but we try to make it so that they've already gone through the text and done a close read before they need to do that. We use a combination of close reading, the chunking, the summarizing, the questioning, and making connections to the text is really important. So we try to do a lot of that as well. What I've learned is that while there are many ways to approach RTI in schools, some are more easily administered and more meaningful than others. So that is my experience currently with RTI in the classroom and in my district in the most recent past. Thank you.